Are we live?
Yes.
Yay! Hey, there we are.
We're
Sorry,
here.
it took a moment to get started, but we are here. Happy Monday,
Happy
everyone.
Monday. A very
Welcome.
Monday.
Yes. Your usual team of Seth and Carly welcoming you for a Monday full of news. I felt like last week was really slow, and then this week there's been maybe not so much theme park news, but a lot of media news, entertainment news.
Oh, yes. And just imagine what next week is going to be like with all of this coming this week.
Yeah, I'm supposed to be getting pages to proofread for my new book today and have to get them back by the end of the week. And I have a feeling that finding time to do that is going to be tough because, yeah, a lot of stuff's going to happen. But before we jump into all that, let us check in with some folks who are
Yes.
already waiting for us in the chat. And first, as always, Mr. Michael Bingham. What's going on, everyone? Welcome to the podcast. He's going to be going to his very first Universal Orlando annual pass holder night on August 16th. I will be there as well. Maybe I'll run into you. That is not really on our agenda of stuff to talk about. It's a little niche, but they had announced ahead of time that that was going to open up for registration at 11 a.m. So I made sure that I was on the website refreshing over and over at 11 a.m. And I guess I was one of the first people in and I didn't have to wait. But I think if you waited to get the email telling you that it was open, by that time there was such a queue. I think people waited hours only to find out that it had basically booked up within the first few minutes. So
right, yeah, I was following along, and in the UO Facebook group and whatnot.
Yeah, it got ugly
for like 6 hours. But you know what? It's a special offering. It's not meant for everyone, and I hate to say it because that sounds very negative.
It's also, I gotta say, it's not that big a deal. If you're a local annual pass holder, it's not like you're getting tons of free food and exclusive entertainment or anything.
Yeah.
It's not. Yeah, it's not like it's just a few extra hours to hang out in the park. You're not going to have a short line for not Hagrid. This time it is at the studios, not at IOA. So in the past I've been to those events and people just swarm to Velocicoaster or Hagrid's, and the lines are longer than on a regular day. But it'll be cool to hang out in the studios after hours. So I'm looking forward to it. That's my birthday weekend coming up.
Oh, fun.
So also saying hello to Blossom and Michelangelo in Derek Ho's corner. Colton checking in, saying hi.
Hello.
And Brian Sager, he lost track of how many things went down in this insane news week. Yes, we are going to talk about some of the things that he's mentioning very soon. And without any further ado, why don't we just jump in and kick this show off in 3, 2.
Please lower your head and watch your step while boarding.
Welcome to the Attractions Podcast. You are all clear for dispatch. Have fun.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Attractions Podcast, sponsored by MEI and Mouse Fan Travel. I'm Seth.
And I'm Carly.
And we are here to talk to you about the latest and greatest in theme park news and more, as well as what is going on in our own lives. It's amazing, 2 weeks in a row, and we are both in the same place at the usual time. How has your week been, Carly? What have you been up to?
It has been great. I've just been in kind of that post-travel, re-getting my life together. It was 2 months gone all over the place, and now I'm just using up this time ahead of spooky season to really kind of regroup. I did, which I'm not like an organizer, and I went on like a rampage yesterday of just like getting my life in order, my home in order. It was great. I got to take advantage of when that mood strikes because it was very productive. And I'm just getting ready for this week where we're getting so many big news pieces. So I'm trying to enter into it with like a clear mind.
You need to like sharpen the saw in 7 Habits speak. You need to, have some time to recoup because we've got a lot of stuff coming up. I went a week with hardly any theme parking. I did stop by Universal to try to catch the parade again, and got to see something that I don't think I've ever seen before, which was the parade stopping in the middle of the run. One of the floats trying to go backwards because it couldn't make the turn. It looked like the Minions were trying to parallel park on Hollywood Boulevard. And then the whole parade got shut down, and they had to abandon the floats in the middle of the street, and guests were just walking around them. I got some great close-up pictures.
Yeah,
Um,
I love that parade. Like, I am not a parade girl. It is when it can go to its full,
Yeah.
capacity. There's a lot of restriction. And also, this is the time of year where Florida thunderstorms are like the exact time as the parade is.
Yeah, the crazy
That's the
thing was,
problem.
every time I've seen that parade, it has been drizzling, it has been raining. It was the first day where it was perfect, clear, blue skies, and they had mechanical difficulties.
No.
What are you gonna do?
Right.
Um,
It's hot. The weather's not. It's funny. You mentioned that. I had a Facebook memory or something pop up on my phone from June in Orlando, maybe like 3 or something years ago,
uh-huh.
and I was wearing like a sweatshirt and a denim jacket, and I was like,
Oh,
"Oh
no.
my God,
Yeah.
it has gotten so hot in recent years, and the
Yes.
weather is just all over the place." And I'm like, "Wow, I cannot believe I'm seeing this."
Absolutely. But what I did do is I got to attend the reunion concert for the opening cast of Finding Nemo the musical, the original
Wow.
version that was at Animal Kingdom. Here's a photo. In order to support the Theater South Playhouse, which is over near Universal in Dr. Phillips, which was founded by Hillary Brooke here, who is one of the original performers in the show. She got together with a bunch of her old castmates, and they did a concert of songs from the show, plus some other related songs, and told a lot of stories from creating the show, the wild rehearsal process. It's amazing no one died putting that thing together. But they had Disney legend Billy Flanagan, Broadway stars Michelle Knight and Lulu Picard, all part of the original cast. It was a really, really great evening. I'm so glad I got to attend that.
That is
So that was
cool.
kind of the highlight of my week. The one thing that I did not do, and that we will not be talking about today. I'm sorry. That's the wrong one. Is Lightning Lane. Lightning Lane. There we go. I deliberately did not go to Disney World for the opening days of the new version of Lightning Lane Multipass, replacing Genie Plus. I did try pre-booking in the days beforehand to see if the system was even possible. And even though you're supposed to be able to book 3 days in advance for everyone or 7 days in advance for hotel guests, I guess they didn't flip the switch in the app until the actual day. And I've been checking it almost daily, and I gotta say, if you thought it was bad before with the availability when you checked in at 7 a.m., it's even worse now. I look every day, and all I see is C-list attractions available in the afternoon, and basically nothing when I look in the mornings.
Yeah, so that
So
has kind of been my gripe with seeing the opening day coverage, because the opening day coverage is nothing. What I want to know is what happens for the family that books their vacation
mhm,
for a couple of weeks. What will their availability be if they have a 3-day trip and they're going up against people that are there for 10 days?
exactly. Yes.
So we're not going to really see how this system really works until next month. I
I
mean,
you know
next month, but
I'm keeping an eye on it. I'm checking the app and the times every day. But I personally, unless I have some friends or family from out of town who are coming in for a trip and want to buy Lightning Lane, I'm probably not buying it for myself. Maybe an individual Lightning Lane on a very special occasion, but the multi pass. I thought it was complicated before, but it seems even trickier now.
right, exactly. And I know so many people are like, it's exactly the same. It's not, because we just had this massive factor added in there of the hotel length of stay. And
Yes.
that kind of just throws a wrench in
Yeah.
all the plans and really makes it hard to make any accurate predictions, because you don't know when and how long people are staying.
Yeah. If you came here for detailed first-person experience with the new Lightning Lane, sorry, but I'm not subjecting myself to that.
Right. Well, and
You
also
just
like
can't do it.
unless you're doing we're regular, so unless you're going on a vacation for multiple days, your experience is not going to really be accurate, minus using like how to use the app.
Yeah.
It's not really going to be an overall picture.
While I was not in the theme parks, I did get a little bit of theme park at home watching the Olympics because Synergy folks, the Olympics are on NBC, which is owned by Comcast, which owns Universal. So we had some definite theme parky tie-ins.
Ooh.
Did you get to watch any of the opening ceremonies or the first couple days?
I cannot say that I did.
Well, find some clips, find some recaps online because that was quite a spectacular opening ceremony held outdoors on the Seine with all sorts of guest stars, and it was truly a spectacle. And it was kicked off with an introduction by Steven Spielberg, who obviously has a very close relationship with Universal. He did his introduction from a soundstage, Universal Studios Hollywood, and used a little green screen to stick himself in Paris. And in addition to Spielberg showing up, they also had a featured segment with the Minions, who crashed the
I
ceremonies,
did hear about them.
stole the Mona Lisa. It was a cute little segment. We've got links to some of those clips, the videos, and check out all of that. I guess if you subscribe to Peacock, they've got a great on-demand selection. You can recap all of that.
Nice. Well, what I have been following are all the memes parodying what it's going to be like when the Olympics come to LA. And some of the funny ones are like the competitors going down the LA River, going down the highway. Like it was just hilarious because that is really going to be interesting to see how they make that work.
They got 4 years to figure it out.
Yes.
Good luck. Good luck. All right. Well, I think that's about enough about our weeks. And now it is time, without any further ado, to jump into the news in the queue. All right, kicking it off this week in the movie theaters, Deadpool versus Wolverine has arrived, racking up huge numbers for its opening weekend. And wouldn't you know it, Deadpool has also arrived at the Disneyland Resort. He's in both California and Paris. And in California, he's joined by his good pal Wolverine for some appearances and shows that really push the boundaries of what you would see in a Disney park. Unfortunately, we are not going to get to see him in Orlando, it looks like, because of the agreements with Marvel and Universal. But check out on our website, on our YouTube, videos of his appearances in Avengers Campus over in DCA because they are pretty hilarious. Have you watched any of these clips yet?
It has been like the highlight of my weekend was following along with these videos. It's the movie is such a, embraces pop culture, especially like the 2000s. And so he comes out, I saw him coming out to NSYNC at one point. I mean, the story time is just hilarious. The crowds around that were wild.
Yeah. So we will not have any spoilers here for the film, other than for me. I loved it. It was my favorite Marvel movie since Endgame. I laughed harder at it than I have laughed at a movie in a long time. And especially if you are someone who is remembers when the first X-Men movie came out, or even other Marvel movies even before that, some of the really deep cuts from the 90s and the early 2000s that kind of got lost to time. It's great seeing them get their dues. And so I highly recommend the movie, but you don't need to see the movie to enjoy these appearances that Deadpool and Wolverine are making. They've been incorporated into the Guardians of the Galaxy dance-off show, but they've also got a Storytime with Deadpool show that you absolutely have to see. Watch these videos. I am shocked, at least in the videos I've seen, how good the vocal impersonation of Ryan Reynolds is.
Right.
Whoever is behind that mask is just spot on.
Oh yeah, and I love it because it's very servicing for Disney fans. I know a few people in the comments already pointed this out. They talk about Splash Mountain. They make fun of the former Bugs Land. I mean, this is just it's hilarious, and it's what people eat up. And I love that they're leaning into it.
They've even they've incorporated him into the Avengers Assemble stunt show that they do up on the balcony, and he makes fun of the missing apostrophe in Disney's California Adventure when it became Disney California Adventure. Like, that's a pretty deep cut for the Magic Key holders, right?
Oh my god, but we love it. And then I know this is not here, but in Paris he has a baguette, and I have been loving the pictures and videos of him with the baguette.
And speaking of food, if you look really carefully, because we can't have him carrying guns in a theme park, in his holsters are chimichangas instead of pistols. So these guys, they did this great photo shoot of him all around California Adventure that you could find on the blog. And yeah, I hope this sticks around long enough for me to see him at the end of the month. I know these things are usually paid for by the movie studio as promotion, as opposed to by the theme park entertainment budget. So it probably will only be a very short appearance. But yeah,
I mean,
check
they don't
out the
really need
videos.
to do any more to promote it.
Yeah, exactly. They don't. Yeah, they're making all the money. They don't have to worry about selling this movie to the fans. But if you get a chance to stop by DCA in the next, I guess, week or so, hopefully he'll be out there. This is definitely one you don't want to miss. And speaking of Marvel, there was some big announcements this week coming out of Comic-Con. Most recently, the Hall H panel for Marvel Studios had some big reveals, and we will touch on them just briefly. They brought out the cast of the new Captain America film, which is including Harrison Ford, who hulked out. He's going to be playing the Red Hulk. But I think the thing that really blew everyone's mind is they're bringing back the Russo brothers, Joe and Anthony, who did the last two Avengers movies, for the next two Avengers movies. And they will include not only the Fantastic Four, which we've known they're getting a retro origin film coming soon, but Robert Downey Jr. is coming back to the Marvel Universe, this time as Dr. Doom.
I love watching the video of the reveal because you could just feel the energy in the crowd. I mean, it was wild.
I think the general reaction from people has been basically what? How? How? What? How? Yeah, so there is precedent for that in the comic books, not to get too geeky. So they did not say that Robert Downey Jr. was coming back as Tony Stark or Iron Man becoming Doctor Doom, just that he is playing Doctor Doom.
Yeah.
So I guess we're going to have to wait to figure out exactly how that works. But we've got a Fantastic Four film to get through before that happens. And Captain America Brave New World, that's going to be the next Marvel movie coming out in February of 2025. So go and see Deadpool versus Wolverine 2 or 3 times, because it's the only Marvel movie you're getting in theaters this year. Other news about the writers of the the next Avengers films were released. And yeah, it's definitely looked like 2026 is going to be the new 2019. Because back in 2019, we had an Avengers movie, we had a Star Wars movie, we had a Toy Story movie, and a Frozen movie. And in 2026, we're getting an Avengers movie, a Star Wars movie, a Toy Story movie, and another Frozen movie. So just rinse and repeat every 7 years, I guess. Anyway, let us move on from Marvel news to Disney news. At Disney California Adventure, Disney Junior's Ariel is going to appear in person for 1 day only. This is the 8-year-old version of the Ariel from the live action film that got her own CGI animated show. And she is appearing at DCA for 1 day only on August 8th. She'll be part of a cavalcade at 10:30 a.m. And she'll be participating in some events over in Hollywoodland. There's going to be some Ariel themed arts and crafts. This is part of a 1-day event called Disney Junior Let's Play Party, which is part of D23 Day throughout the resort. And it's all lined up with coming right before the D23 Ultimate Disney Fan Event, which runs August 9th and 11th. Deep breath. There's a lot of it. A lot of stuff going on.
Much going on this year,
Mhm.
D23. I have attended in the past. I'm going to politely bow this one out because this just seems like, I mean,
Between the
quite the
events in the
cluster,
convention center and
Yes.
all these big events happening at the Honda Center, it looks like it is going to be an exhausting event, jam-packed, and I am happy to follow it on social media personally.
Absolutely. We could still do our job from the
Yeah.
couch, and I'm
Yeah.
very excited to follow along that way. But between what they're doing in the parks, the center, it's going to be a lot. You have to pack your patience pants if you are going, because yes,
You might want to pack absorbent pants too,
Yeah.
because God knows what the lines for the bathrooms will look
because it is going to be it's going to be a lot. I'm excited though. Hopefully we will get some news and not blue sky ideas.
like. This is things we could possibly do. Yeah.
But you can see Ariel Jr., so that's
Yes,
that's
you can see
definitely
Ariel Jr. You can also meet at the D23 convention Bluey and Bingo at the Disney Plus Pavilion during the D23 event. And right now, you can watch the entire first episode of Disney Junior's Ariel on their YouTube channel. She's not going to be appearing in person in Florida, but you can catch a step and repeat photo backdrop over at Disney Springs near Earl of Sandwich, and they've also got some promotional banners and even a DJ in a little roving shell
so cute.
wandering around Disney Springs, activating the area. All right, let's hop over from Disney to Universal, and we are getting ready for information about the next Wizarding World of Harry Potter coming to Epic Universe to be dropped first on July 31st, and then another drop of information coming on September 1st. Wizarding World of Harry Potter Ministry of Magic is the last land in Epic Universe that we have not yet got a full reveal on, but it looks like we are going to get that reveal on July 31st direct from Universal. And then on top of that, Warner Brothers Discovery is doing a big event on September 1st for the whole Harry Potter brand, the Back to Hogwarts annual event. And that will give us even more information. I am very excited.
I'm so excited. When I woke up and saw that Universal had posted, the little cosmic stars, which they've been using to tease every announcement. Yes. I was so excited. I mean, we knew this was coming in July, and over the weekend, I was like, wait, it's August this week, and they didn't announce it. I'm like, what? So this is very exciting.
They're holding this one to the wire. I've been told that it was going to come in late July, and they definitely delivered very late July. I am not one of those lucky folks who gets the medallions in the mail, but I've heard those are heading out, and I'm very excited to get details on this area. We've talked about it before, but in case you were totally in the dark, this is kind of a mashup area. The exterior is going to be based on 1920s Paris, as seen in the Fantastic Beasts Crimes of Grindelwald film. But once you go inside, you're going to be transported to the Ministry of Magic London, which is seen in the Harry Potter films. I'm very excited about the ride inside the Ministry of Magic. I've been told that this is Universal's attempt to really fully one-up Rise of the Resistance and create something truly epic on that scale. And I cannot wait to get details.
Yes,
So,
I see. I'm really excited for the food because what we've seen so far in the other lands, especially with Monsters, the Tavern, I'm excited what they're going to do now that they have the influence of Paris, you know?
mhm.
So in the existing lands and the parks we have now, it's very British.
Yes.
Now we can go with some French cuisine or some French influences. I mean, they can't have British food.
As much as I love, sausages, and more sausages, it is going to be nice to get a nice light croissant,
Yes,
maybe
or a crepe. I mean,
a
we know
crepe. Yeah,
Universal
we
does
we know
crepes
they can
very
do
well.
crepes. Yes,
Yeah.
but I want to sit on a sidewalk cafe, sipping some coffee, watching the crowds go by. We have authentic rain. It's just a little more humid here, so
Yes.
it'll be lovely. I can't wait. So the details coming from direct from Universal on the 31st of this month, and then hold your breath until September 1st for that information coming from Warner Brothers itself for the Back to Hogwarts event. You'll not only get stuff about the theme parks, but also announcements from Portkey Games, the studio tour in London, the books, and more. And finally, the movies themselves are coming back to movie theaters nationwide. If it's been a while since you've seen the Potter films on the big screen, you're going to get your chance in August and September. Cinemark, including hopefully the Cinemark at Universal Orlando, is going to have it from August 25th through September 1st. The Megaplex chain, which I don't believe we have any of those in Orlando, but they're going to do a marathon of all the movies on August 23rd and then run them all the 29th through September 30th. And Showcase Cinemas, or National Amusements, are going to run them from July 31st through August 25th.
Wow. So if they're doing a marathon, are you going to go for 24 hours?
That's a lot. That's an awful
I mean, it
lot.
does sound fun, but yes.
Yeah. Alamo Draft House, Studio Movie Grill, and Reading Cinemas are also screening select films during that period. And there's also theaters in Canada and Mexico that are going to be having screenings. We've got a link on our page to show you where to find them. I am curious if any of these are going to be showing the final film in 3D. I think that's the only one that was released in 3D. And that had some really fun 3D effects during the Gringotts sequence and also the Battle of Hogwarts. That be good to see those on a big screen again.
Yeah, so there's so much Harry Potter, and Wednesday is also his birthday.
Yes.
When they make the announcement, so
energy. Happy birthday, Harry!
Happy birthday, Harry!
I wasn't even going to try the Hagrid voice. I wasn't even going to do it. All right. Moving to a completely different theme park chain. The Cedar Fair and Six Flags merger. They should have just called it that, shouldn't they? The Cedar Fair and Six Flags merger is complete, and we are seeing some of the first results in changes to policies at some legacy Six Flags parks. That's what they're calling the parks that used to be owned by Six Flags. They are giving and they are taking away. They are introducing a chaperone policy and taking away a surcharge fee on purchases.
These are good changes, and these are changes that are coming from the Cedar Fair side to Six Flags, which is what we wanted.
Yes, so that is an absolutely positive sign that the culture and sort of the standards of the Cedar Fair chain are kind of bleeding into Six Flags operations. So let's start with the chaperone policy. 3 Six Flags parks that have not previously had a chaperone policy are now going to require guests age 15 and under to be accompanied by an adult at least 21 years old after 4 p.m. And they can't just drop them off and check them in. They got to stay with them through the visit.
Yes, and I do want to know, they actually check your ID, everyone.
Mhm.
So even, like Adam and I will go sometimes in the evening, and it doesn't matter. Like, obviously, I'm over 21. They check
Mhm.
everyone's IDs, which I like, because you really have to be vigilant and check everyone in order to make this work.
Yeah. So the 3 parks where we are going to see this are Six Flags America near Baltimore, Six Flags Discovery Kingdom near San Francisco, and Six Flags Over Georgia near Atlanta. In particular, the Atlanta one has been in the news
Yeah,
multiple times over
not for good
recent
things.
years for not great reasons.
Not good.
So I was kind of shocked that they didn't have any kind of chaperone policy before
You
that.
know
So
what? I was too when I read it and I saw that was listed. I was like, oh
yeah.
man. Wow. So that's good. This is a good
Yep.
change.
And if you are traveling in a group or a pack, you've got to have at least one chaperone per 10 minors. Read up on those rules. Look at the policies on their park website before heading to the parks. These are very similar to policies that we've had at places like Great America, Carowinds, Knott's Berry Farm. So hopefully they will be successful. Interestingly, we also just saw Fun Spot in Kissimmee and Orlando here introduce a chaperone policy, not just for 16-year-olds, but anyone ages 20 and under. So that's a pretty steep.
Right.
No
But you
more.
got to do what you got to do.
Yeah.
And, you want to maintain that family atmosphere. And
Hmm.
this is
Yep.
what has to happen, unfortunately.
Another, I think, consumer-friendly move is that they are no longer having surcharges that are just slapped on there due to increased labor and supply costs. During we had the pandemic and then the post-pandemic, the supply chain issues, and we saw a lot of companies both raised their prices. It's not like they didn't raise their prices, but they raised their prices and then they also went and slapped these surcharges that your brain has to add on another 5% or whatever to try to figure out what you're actually going to pay. They've done away with that, and I applaud that. I think
Yeah.
transparency and simplicity in pricing is always better for consumers. Be upfront about what you're going to charge people. Don't hide it in the fine print. Unfortunately, SeaWorld and Busch Gardens have not gotten that
Yes.
message. They still have this extra 5% tacked on at the bottom. And it doesn't seem like that's going away anytime soon.
Right. And then it's like $25 for chicken fingers and a soda. And you're like,
Right.
how did I get here? What life choices did I make wrong? I mean, if you just show it on the menu up front, and I know it's
Right.
an easier pill to swallow.
Yeah, don't make me go through mental gymnastics. I was a theater major. I'm not good at math. All right. Well, now for something completely different. We are halfway to the holidays,
Woo!
and we've got an advanced look at ICE coming to Gaylord Palms Resorts. And this year, it is going to be themed at the Orlando Resort to the classic film Elf. For the 2024 season, the ice sculptures in the Gaylord Palms Convention Hall that they chill down way below freezing are going to spotlight characters from the 2003 film starring Will Ferrell as Buddy the Elf.
Yes. I hope they have some Bob Newhart representation.
Oh yes, he deserves some recognition. It looks like we've got the slides, the sculptures, the photo ops back again. It's interesting, often they do these with cartoon characters. We've seen Charlie Brown themed and Seuss themed, and usually the characters are colored, the colors you would see in the film or the TV show. This year, it looks like they're sculpting Buddy and his friends out of clear ice, so they look a little blue. But then their clothes are colored. So not sure if this is just like an artist concept, and that's actually how it's going to look. But it's kind of an interesting take on it.
Yes, if you're coming to Orlando or really by any of the Gaylords, this is such a fun thing each
Mhm.
holiday season. I love the Gaylord properties, and I love what they do with all this holiday programming. So I'm excited to check this out. And of course,
Yeah.
the ice slides are so fun.
Yeah, it's been a couple of years since I've done this, but it's definitely memorable. A lot of it depends on your tolerance for cold. It is 9 degrees in there, and they give you a jacket. I highly recommend bringing your own gloves and scarves and all
It
that
is
on
very
top
cold.
of it. It is very, very cold, and your phone might decide to just take a break.
Right.
I've
Too
had
soon to talk about phones and weather conditions.
I yeah, I have had my phone. Oh, I'm so sorry. It's too soon, too soon.
Too soon.
Yeah, the opposite problem that you had on your trip. But yeah, um, but it's a lot of fun, and every year they bring in 40 artisans from Harbin, China, and they have over 2 million pounds of ice to create this exhibit, which covers 20,000 square feet. So it is really impressive. It's a work of art, and it's definitely worth checking out. And they have these not just at the Gaylord Palms here in Orlando, but the various Gaylord Palms around the country. In Nashville this year, at the Opryland one, you'll find Frosty the Snowman. Um, Maryland is going to do Charlie Brown Christmas. Rockies in Colorado is Polar Express. Grapevine, Texas has Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, and the Grinch is coming to San Antonio. So these are all themes that we've seen over the years in Orlando, and they just kind of rotate around each year to keep it fresh.
Love
Um,
it.
Tickets start at $30 for adults, $18 for kids, and it's just a small portion of the activities that they have there. All sorts of Christmas stuff happens there, and you don't even need to stay overnight, but you do have to pay some pretty steep parking fees. So check out their website and plan out your trip now. You've got almost 6 months to go.
I'm ready. But we don't want to rush spooky season. Let's rush
No,
summer.
not at
Because
all. Not at all. We
let's
don't want
have
to rush
spooky season.
through spooky season, and we are going to talk about that. But first, it is time for us to hear a word from our sponsors.
The Attractions Podcast is brought to you by MEI and MEI-Travel. Whether your next vacation is a magical trip to the theme parks, an exciting adventure to the pyramids of Egypt, or just a relaxing cruise on the turquoise waters of the Bahamas, MEI-Travel provides premium service and expert advice to help you get the most of your vacation. They are always free of any hidden fees or costs to you. Visit them at mei-travel.com.
It's time for the main attraction!
And for this week's main attraction, yes, we are looking forward to spooky season and Halloween Horror Nights on both coasts. It's given us some brand new announcements. First, we have the final haunted house, number 10 out of 10, that will be part of Halloween Horror Nights Orlando. And it may possibly have a connection to Epic Universe. It is going to be Universal Monsters Eternal Bloodlines, and it is going to be an all-female led version of the Universal Classic Monsters, who are also coming to the new Dark Universe section of the Epic Universe park.
Yes. I mean, if you look at that artwork, you see in the background, it has to look like Frankenstein's Manor from what
It
we're seeing in Epic.
It sure does. They have not explicitly called out and said that this is directly tied, but it's all part of the Universal Classic Monsters universe. And for instance, this Bride of Frankenstein artwork that we're seeing looks similar in style to some of the Bride of Frankenstein artwork we've seen for Dark Universe. But the characters that we are getting are going to include some that we have not heard referenced previously for Epic Universe. So they have. This is the storyline that they've released on social media. It says, "Get caught in an epic battle as Saskia Van Helsing and the Bride of Frankenstein go up against Dracula's daughter and her monstrous mavens." So, who is Saskia Van Helsing?
Yes.
Well, it turns out that she is the daughter of Abraham Van Helsing, who is the hero in the Dracula film who actually kills Count Dracula. It looks like that little act did not make Dracula's daughter very happy. This is a character from the 1936 film, Countess Maria. She's the daughter of Count Dracula, and she is going to be seeking her revenge with the help of the She-Wolf of London from the 1946 film and the Egyptian princess Ankh-Su-Namnu from The
Ooh.
Mummy, the 1932 version, not the Tom Cruise version.
Yes. So this is again playing into the epic universe thing
Yep.
of the multi-generational monsters.
Yes.
That's where like there's so many signs. I mean, even if it's not related to epic universe,
Yeah.
it feels like a cousin of it, which is just so cool.
Well, I'm thinking that maybe we can think of this as a prequel to
Yeah.
Dark Universe, because so we're talking about the daughter of Van Helsing,
Right.
but the Victoria Frankenstein is going to be the great granddaughter of Henry Frankenstein. So while I believe the Dark Universe is set in the present day, maybe this is kind of a prequel to that. But yeah, there's definitely some stylistic ties. The artwork looks like it has, some themes in common, and the idea of the multi-generational team up is definitely in common. So I am very excited to see what they do with this house. I have loved the last few Universal Classic Monster houses that they have put together. So this is a house that we're going to see in both Universal Orlando and in Hollywood. In the Hollywood version, the musician Slash is coming back to compose another soundtrack. This is going to be his 6th collaboration with HHN in Hollywood. Meanwhile, the Orlando version is going to have a soundtrack composed by Emmy-nominated composer Sarah Barone, who worked on Planet Earth 3. And she's currently part of the Universal Composers Initiative 2-year program.
Very cool. The one thing I was a little bummed, I wish in Hollywood they had a female artist doing the soundtrack, because we're really going for this all-female house.
Yeah.
It would have been really cool. I mean, I know Slash has been doing this for 5 years, whatever, but it would have been really cool to have a lady do it.
Yeah. Well, so this is the last, as I said, the last house announced for the lineup in Florida. And to very quickly run down, that makes Slaughter Cinema 2, Goblin's Feast, Major Sweets Candy Factory, the Museum Deadly Exhibits, Monstrous Monsters of Latin America, Triplets of Terror, Quiet Place, Ghostbusters Frozen Empire, Insidious the Further, and Universal Monsters Eternal Bloodlines. Those are your 10 here in Florida. And then out in California, we've got A Quiet Place, Dead Exposure, Death Valley, Monstrous 2, Nightmares of Latin America, Ghostbusters Frozen Empire, Insidious the Further, Universal Monsters Eternal Bloodlines, and just announced a few hours ago on social media, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, The Legacy of Leatherface, is coming to Hollywood exclusively this year. And this looks like it is going to have an original story that's going to mash up the classic Leatherface from the original 1974 version, which is celebrating its 50th anniversary this year, with maybe some other like multiverse versions.
Yes. So I was
Tell
following
me a little bit of what you heard.
Yeah, I was following Midsummer announcements pretty closely. So they're calling it a multiverse.
Okay.
And it's going to be, we're going to see in the house all 7 versions of Leatherface.
Wow.
In some way or shape. So I am really hyped for this. I loved when Hollywood had the last Texas Chainsaw Massacre. It was one of my favorite movies. So I cannot wait to see what they do with this. And it looks really creative. And yes.
So for those of you who are not obsessive Texas Chainsaw fans, Leatherface was introduced in the 1974 classic by Tobe Hooper, which many people think is like a horribly gory film. There's hardly any gore in that film. You never see a chainsaw cutting up a body. All that stuff happened in the later films. It was mostly a psychological film, but it's still absolutely brutally terrifying. And then my personal favorite is Texas Chainsaw 2, which is
Me
more of a
too.
comedy. And then so there was a reboot with Michael Bay producing, and that had a prequel and a sequel. And then there was another reboot and a 3D one, and then yet another
A lot.
and each time they shorten the name. It's gone from like the Texas Chainsaw Massacre to Texas Chainsaw Massacre to just Texas Chainsaw. Next it's just going to be Tex.
Yeah. You know.
But yeah, I guess the whole legacy of Leatherface will be at play in this new house, and I'm kind of bummed that I'm there in Hollywood for opening weekend of Horror Nights in Orlando, but missing Horror Nights in Hollywood while I'm there.
Yes, and they did say in the panel last night, which a lot of people were freaking out. If you thought the smells in Exorcist were a lot,
Oh
just you
no!
wait. So
Oh
they're
no!
alluding to like burning flesh, the whole. Yes.
Lovely.
Can't wait.
Can't wait. And on top of the houses, we've also gotten some more scare zone information. Construction is in full force on the scare zone areas in Universal Studios Florida. And it looks like a Blumhouse scare zone is being set up in the Fisherman's Wharf, San Francisco area. They've got a big sign, the logo of Blumhouse. Set pieces are going up right now. And you may even be able to spot the M3GAN dolls. They may be making a reappearance of the Flash Mob that was very popular last year.
Yes, and what I loved at Hollywood, they had a roaming grabber, so that would be very easy to implement if they're doing this Blumhouse,
Yeah.
streetmosphere. I mean, he was so good, the grabber at Hollywood. So I really hope they have that here. I assume they would. It would be easy to do, and it makes sense. But
the Blumhouse Scare Zone is going to join other announced Scare Zones: Swamp of the Undead, Torture Fair, Duality of Fear, and Demon Queens. This Duality of Fear is kind of interesting. They've been teasing these two opposing characters who, I don't know if they've called them icons yet, but there seems to be an icon vibe. It's going to be the scare zone that's placed right at the front of the park, and I guess you're going to have to pick your path through it. I have to see exactly how that turns out.
yeah, so I got to know, now that we know all the houses,
Yeah.
what are you most hyped for? Do you have like a top two? It's hard, I know.
So while Ghostbusters Frozen Empire was not necessarily my favorite of the Ghostbusters franchise, I love me some Ghostbusters.
Yeah.
And I'm excited to see some of the iconic locations and characters come to life in that house for sure. I really loved the Monstros when that house, when that was in Hollywood. And I'm very excited to see that in Orlando. And Slaughter Cinema had some great characters. It had like this great cult movie vibe to it. And there was a lot of Easter eggs. That was a real labor of love, you could tell, for the design team. And so I am excited to see Slaughter Cinema 2. The only thing that I hope is I thought the original, they tried to cram too many stories in, too many movies in, and I hope they get a little bit more breathing room each one this time. What about you? What are you looking forward to?
It's so hard. I have a few Triplets of Terror. I'm so curious about this paper plate man. I don't know why. He's just been living rent free in my mind. It's so interesting. My sister said she's gonna bound as him one night and make like a paper plate, which I
love
think
it.
is awesome. But I mean, it just sounds like such a cool story. Major Sweets Candy Factory. I loved when they did the street with Major Sweets. It was so cool. And then I think Universal Monsters Eternal Bloodlines. The monster houses have truly been, like you said, so good.
Yeah.
Like always high up towards the top of my favorite. But then of course Ghostbusters too. But I think it's not because of the movie, just because we crave more Ghostbusters back in the park.
Yeah. More Ghostbusters. Speaking of which, the Ecto-1 car has still not been sighted in the parade yet, so still waiting on that one. All right. Well, that just about brings it to the end of this week's show. But before we go, we have to check in with some of the comments that you left for us. We have quite a few comments. Wow. Can't go through every single one, but let us flip through a few of them. As I was talking about Lightning Lane, Narnia Expert chimed in. They dislike all forms of line cutting. I don't think that FastPass should ever have been sold, and there should be free and equal access to all. I don't disagree, but I think that ship might have sailed in the modern theme park. I don't know if now that they've got the revenue, if they're ever going to give that back. But I don't necessarily disagree. That's why I love going to special events like Oogie Boogie, where there is no paid Lightning Lane, where everyone is in the standby queue. Brian Sager chiming in on the opening ceremonies, loved that Les Miserables scene. And yes, I thought that Torch Runner looked like a character out of Assassin's Creed. Ubisoft was credited in the... I did not realize. So that really was supposed to be an Assassin's Creed character. I thought it looked like it, and I've actually been playing the VR Assassin's Creed game lately, and I was like, wait, am I just having VR flashbacks? And I'm just thinking that... it was... absolutely a fantastic opening ceremony. And for me, the MVP of the Olympics has been Snoop Dogg. Best commentator. He looks like he's having fun out there. Love Snoop. I only wish that they could have sent Martha Stewart out with him, because they are the best double act in entertainment right now.
The two most unlikely best friends.
Right. Lots of fun, lots of people loving that Deadpool show, the disses, the jokes that Deadpool is making in that out at California Adventure. It took Disney a while to figure out what they were doing with Fox. You know, they bought all this stuff and they're like, what do we do this? And I really think Deadpool showed us the best thing to do with all that Fox material. So I really enjoyed that a lot. Boy, we have so many comments. Vince Lamb wishing everyone a happy Monday and International Tiger Day. Shout out to Tigger and Shere Khan.
It's also a National Chicken Wing Day, which if you love wings, that's also very important.
Brian, we missed it, and there was a follow-up to Murdy's panel. There's also a Murder of Crows scare zone happening in Hollywood. And there's still rumors of The Weeknd coming back. So we'll see. We might not be done with announcements for Hollywood just yet.
Not yet.
Brian mentioning the Grand Helios hotel. We've still got to have a announcement on that coming up. And apparently media boxes went out regarding the Disney Destiny. I do not get those media boxes, so I can't tell you what was in those. Sorry.
It was a Bays Weekender bag. A very fancy luggage bag.
Okay. Let's see, what else have we got? Fright Fest also had an MS, is that Midsummer Scream panel on Saturday?
Yes.
And I also saw a great interview, speaking of, with Cassandra Peterson from, she is Elvira, and they are bringing an Elvira show back to Knott's Berry Farm.
It's only limited dates, and they haven't announced it. So.
It's limited dates, and it almost sounded like she is not going to be dressing up as Elvira herself for the show anymore. It sounds more like it's a retrospective, kind of a tribute kind of thing. So, but it would be great to see her on stage again.
Yes, and I also have to say, Knott's had Sarah Marshall at Midsummer Scream roaming around, and I saw some fantastic pictures of it, and it looks so cool. If you're really into Knott's lore, awesome.
Also, I forgot to mention that Slash soundtrack is going to be put out on a vinyl album. They're going to
Yes.
release a vinyl soundtrack of all of his contributions over the years. I don't know if it's going to be available in Orlando as well. That might be a Hollywood exclusive. We'll have to see for that. And wow, yeah, so many comments. Thank you all so much for your comments. Andy Hayes, he's excited about the original houses
Same.
because you never know what they're going to do about them. And I did not dislike Slaughter Cinema. I loved Slaughter Cinema, but I just felt like they crammed a little too much, and some of them were just a little bite, and I wanted more. I'll let Mike Bigham have the last word. What is he there for? Pizza fries and Ghostbusters.
Yes.
You cannot go wrong with pizza fries.
Make
and
that a
Ghostbusters.
shirt.
All right. Thank you, all of you who chimed in. Thank you for your comments. Thank you for supporting us by giving us a rating or review wherever you listen to us, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever. Give us a like and subscribe here on YouTube if you're watching the live stream. And please be sure to visit attractionsmagazine.com and follow us by searching Attractions Magazine on your favorite social media platforms. Carly, where can folks find you on the socials?
Yes, I am on Instagram at Adventures by Carly, and I am on X at Carly Karamata.
And I am on the socials at Skuberski and at The Unofficial Guides. And you can find copies of my brand new books, Unofficial Guide to Disneyland 2025. I just got it hot off the
Yay!
presses. Head on over to theunofficialguides.com. And until next week, we hope you folks stay safe, try something new, and most importantly, have fun. We'll see you again next time. Bye.
Bye.